history teacher was writing on the board. It wasn't a very exciting moment in class, or U.S. history, so I spoke up. Boring! Everyone looked at me. Does blurting out in class sound like a dream come true? Sometimes it was, but it wasn't because I was cool. Tourette syndrome causes me to tick, act destructively, bite, shake my head. Very distracting. I've probably ticked 21 million times, about 24,966 hours of my life, jiggling, jerking, and people thinking I'm a freak. I can't help it any more than you can help blinking. It gets worse. 10% of people with Tourette syndrome use inappropriate language. I've probably said the words fuck or fucker about 6,000 times. Pussy or cunt, 3,000. So when my history teacher turned around, I wasn't done yet. Boring! He looked at me, knowing who I was, and said, yeah. So I said, fuck you! I've had a very different life. Teenagers have problems. Acne, smells, new hair, new smells. Even worse, teens believe they're the center of the universe. Seriously. The Journal of Media Psychology, March 2014, describes the imaginary audience. A misguided belief, held primarily by teenagers, that others look at you and judge always. However, this can manifest in adulthood. Not the smells, the imaginary audience. We must realize the real audience is created inside each of us. A critic with an unhealthy obsession with imperfections. What Makes You Tick? By Marc, Elliot. A tick is a neurological quirk, like an itch. I can't think about anything else but scratching it. Imagine holding your eyes open, wide, until you feel burning. You can postpone blinking, but the more it hurts, eventually you blink. I've displayed many tics, some subtle, others obvious. I started to arp like a dog. I started to say, excuse me, even when no one was around. I started to say, I love you. First just sometimes, then more. Friends and family thought it was cute, then bizarre. We never knew what was next. They joked that we joined the Tick of the Month Club. By 8th grade, I was trying to hold back my tics. After school, I would come home and unleash all these tics while my mom would watch, trying not to freak out. I would thrash my head to the right, to the left, and shake, shake, shake. Like a dance move, but painful. Sex, breasts, sex! I introduced myself the first day in high school to avoid freaking anybody out. Sex! I have sex! I have Tourette syndrome. Later, a guy said, you have Tourette syndrome? Awesome. Sure, it might be funny to say penis. But if you have to explain yourself all of the time and hope everyone understands, it gets old. I would be with friends in public and say, I want to fuck you. I wanted to die or be invisible. There was no word I wouldn't say. No one I couldn't offend. I lost friends. Looking in the mirror, watching me chomp my teeth and bark. I could see how people would judge me. Once at a restaurant, this woman giggled. I said, ma'am, I have Tourette's syndrome. I'm sorry if it bothers you, but it bothers me more. Then she called me retarded. What's the difference? If only people knew what I'd done in my life. The plays, student council. I was more than a weirdo. In college, because of my tics, I didn't have a roommate. Relationships felt desperate. I would show people I was normal, apart from my tics, but I wasn't creating bonds. On dates, I experimented with fake ticking, kiss you. I admit it was horrible. But on one date, I started real ticking. I love you. And it launched our first kiss. Some silver linings came with Tourette's. As kids, their earliest memory, most say nothing about a doctor's office. My doctor called me her tough bird. My calling is to become a doctor. But how could I do something requiring coordination if I have spasms? I decided not to let reality stop me. But the student running EMT service rejected me. Because what if I started ticking? And you need a 30 on the MCAT to get into a decent med school. I scored a 28. This was the first time I felt my disability was going to ruin my plans. No matter how many practice tests, same low score. So out of left field, I decided on a speaking tour. Even with a bad score, if I pull off a speaking tour, I get into a decent school. But what would I offer? I didn't know. Then I heard this story about this screaming kid acting like a monster on a bus sitting next to his dad. Everyone is pissed. Finally, some guy complains. Will you control your kid? The dad said, I'm sorry. His mother just died. We're coming from the funeral. Everyone has tics other people misinterpret. I wrote my speech about this one idea. Live and let live. The embarrassment I felt from my Tourette's helped others feel better about their problems. I got a standing ovation. 1,500 people clapping about what came out of my mouth. Soon there were 20 speaking jobs lined up. Then one day, I got an invitation for an interview with the med school in New York. I had a speaking job before my interview. My speech went late. I was still in jeans. The interviewer said, you hope to be a doctor your whole life. Why are you wearing jeans? It hit me. I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I set out to become America's most offensive proponent of tolerance. Months later, with another speaker on the circuit, I needed to fill my water bottle. So I said, sorry. I had been saying sorry my entire life. He asked, are you apologizing because you think people are hard on you? And you're making sure they won't think negatively of you? He asked, could it be if you think that everyone is hard on you? That instead you're hard on yourself? I felt if I could get people to understand me, they'd see beneath my behavior. I was normal. and accept me. But I didn't even tolerate myself. The person who cared the most, judging the most. Was me.